Hey, today I wanted to talk about my pre-op with my plastic surgeon in preparation for my single mastectomy. So I started out on my journey thinking that I was going to get a lumpectomy and a reduction of my second breast. And along the way I had some advice that really changed my mind about that, and I'm going with a single mastectomy in the end. And either way, I would have had my plastic surgeon. I had chosen my surgical oncologist after meeting with 3 different surgical oncologists and chose the one that I really liked and trusted the best. The one that I felt like I could relate to and who was willing to spend time with me and answer all of my questions without making me feel like I was an annoyance. And so I went with her, and I've learned that each surgeon has their own plastic surgeon that they really like to work with individually and that they recommend that you work with as well. It makes sense. It's like one of the closest workmates that you can think of. When you're sharing the surgery and cooperating, you have to be able to communicate really well with that person. And so I let her choose the plastic surgeon, and that's pretty normal. At first we were thinking of doing the lumpectomy and reduction, and so I talked to the plastic surgeon about that on my first appointment with her. And she explained where she would be making the cuts and where the scars would be and how they would heal. And then by the time I got to the pre-op, I had changed my mind and I went with a single mastectomy. And so she described to me the option of having a goldilocks mastectomy. And she explained this to me. I had already actually looked it up and was kind of confused about who gets these, because it talked a lot about obesity in all the literature and the studies that were done for goldilocks mastectomies. She explained that these days you don't have to be obese. You do have to have kind of large breasts in order to qualify for it, because the idea behind it is that you have extra skin. So you're taking out the breast material underneath the skin and you're left with a couple of flaps, an upper flap and a lower flap. And you can use the lower flap to pad the vacancy that's left by the breast being gone. And if you look at pictures of women with mastectomies, which I'm sure you have if you're watching this video, you'll notice that there is kind of a concave bowl-like effect that is not at all like a man's chest. Your pectoral muscles as a woman, they don't protrude quite as much out, and so you don't have this convex or outward kind of curve to your body. You'd have an inward curve. And the Goldilocks mastectomy is addressing that. It's just filling that little bit of an inward curve or hollow in that space where the breast was. And so they fill that by pushing the bottom skin down and then putting the upper skin down on top of it. And the thing you have to do in order to do that is prepare the bottom layer of skin to adhere to the underside of the top layer of skin. And so she explained to me that there is a process called De-epithelialization, where you're taking the epidermis off, the top layer of skin off of that lower flap, so that it can adhere. Because our natural skin tends to have a waterproof kind of effect where it's very durable and not a lot of things are going to stick to it, and it's not going to start to adhere to things very well. It's got a lot of oil and natural bacteria that grows, and it's pretty persistent at growing those things, and so you have to scrape that layer off in order for your upper layer of skin to adhere to it. And so that does make your surgery time a little bit longer. It's a little bit more involved of a surgery, and there are risks to a longer surgery, but it's not that much longer. And she said that it would be no longer than my prior plan to have the lumpectomy. In fact, it would be a little bit shorter. So I decided to go ahead and go with that, even though I had formerly thought that it was just for women that had obesity or very, very large breasts. I'm sure that it works even better for women with very, very large breasts because they have more skin to fold under and fill that hollow. But I have enough that it will help me, at least, so that I don't have that kind of concave nature in my chest. And I'm grateful for that. I also met with her nurse at length during the pre-op appointment and got to learn about all the supplements that I should stop taking, and we talked a little bit about nutrition and then a lot about post-surgery wound care and all the things that I need to avoid, like exercise and heat, hot tubs, and taking a bath or even a really warm shower or a heating pad. those kinds of things. And she also taught me how to take care of my drain and record all of the different levels of fluid that come out of my drain. So I got a lot of instruction from the nurse, and I really liked the nurse. It's a little weird for me to go into a plastic surgeon's office, I think, the first time, because I never have thought of myself as the kind of person that would get plastic surgery. I'm not at all interested in that kind of aesthetics. I've always had a very healthy body image and wouldn't want to change my body. I still wouldn't want to, but I have to. So I'm a little more comfortable after my second appointment there. And when I compare it to a medical environment, I feel like it's just as odd, really, to go into a hospital, just as uncomfortable for me to go into a hospital. So I've kind of reframed it, and I'm grateful that I get to go to the plastic surgeon's office for my post-surgery wound care and unbandaging instead of going into a hospital setting. So not that there's less bacteria or germs there, it's just a little bit fancier and it feels a little bit more like a spa. So even though it's not really very natural for my personality to be at home in a plastic surgeon's clinic, I'm grateful that the fanciness and the comfort level there is really high, and it's going to feel kind of like a pampering session, probably more than a hospital would. So I'm grateful that I have two surgeons. They're going to be working on me at the same time, cutting down on my surgery time, watching out for different things that might happen that could go wrong, and keeping each other in check. So it seems like a really good plan to have both a surgical oncologist and a plastic surgeon working together. I know the surgical oncologist's job is just to get the cancer out and to make sure she's very thorough, and the plastic surgeon's job is very different. It's just about making the exact kind of lines and cuts to make the closure as aesthetically pleasing and smooth and round as possible. So they're very, very different in their jobs, but they work together, they know each other. I'm sure that they have a good time working together. And so it makes sense that they would kind of build a rapport and work together as a team over time and recommend each other to their clients. I have 10 days till my surgery, so it's coming up really soon. But I've had lots of preparation and I've gotten all the information that I've wanted. I had a lot of questions about all the medications that would be given to me. I'm very sensitive to opioids, and I hope that I can avoid taking them, but she prescribed me a really, really mild one just in case I have a lot of pain and need to take something for pain. And so actually it is the plastic surgeon that is in charge of my medication. I guess the authority for medication goes to the person that's going to be making the first cut, and she will be making the cuts. So she's the one in charge of medication, and I actually got the scripts for my medications on that pre-op appointment. So I already have them, and I can take them to the pharmacy anytime before my surgery to fill them and have them ready for after. Like I said, I'll also be going there to my plastic surgeon's office for my undressing of my bandages the day after surgery and for various checkups. And I've already had a long meeting with the nurse that will be meeting with me during those checkups. So I've already built a rapport with her, which is really nice. Even though I've never seen this part of her face because she was wearing a mask, at least I'll remember her and remember that there was a little bit of a rapport that was built during that pre-op meeting. And she'll be there for one of the most scary and emotional times probably in my whole life, when the unbandaging happens and I'll get to see the after effect of surgery for the first time. So hopefully I'll get to share that with you as well. I'm sure that I will. So definitely subscribe if you're interested in following my journey and seeing how my single mastectomy comes out in the end. And I'll see you on my next video, hopefully within the next week. Bye-bye.